So, Nirbhay, what are your observations on the investment migration landscape across Asia over the course of the last few years?
I believe the investment migration market in Asia is quite buoyant, but at the same time, it has also evolved drastically over the couple of years. So historically, most of the investment migration in Asia was centered around the US, particularly the EB5. Now we're seeing families are also becoming open to European residence by investment and CBI programs, and also at the same time, citizenship by investment programs in the Caribbean. The second piece, what I see is the whole concept of wealth preservation is really gaining momentum in Asia now. As you would agree, emerging and developing markets across Asia are great places to create wealth. But now families across these jurisdictions are looking at places like Singapore, Hong Kong, Zurich, and London for their tenacious banking infrastructure and to fulfill their wealth preservation needs. So that would be my second observation. And the final observation is, historically, most of the investment migration was targeting families who physically wanted to move. But now that's not the case. We have families who acquire an alternative residence. They continue to stay where they are. And why they're doing that? It's because they're keen to build resilience. As people have realized, we live in a very volatile macroeconomic outlook, and getting an alternative residence could be a bit of an insurance policy. So these are my three key observations around how the investment migration landscape across Asia has evolved.
So, Nirbhay, what are the main drivers for investment migration for high net worth clients in Asia?
I believe the number one would be there has been a rise of transnational and cosmopolitan mindset amongst high net worth families in Asia. They are looking outwards, they're keen to diversify their wealth. They're also keen to sort of de-risk themselves from having all their assets in just one jurisdiction. So I would say that's one of the key drivers for investment migration in Asia for the time being. The second part is, any uncertain event around the world, the nature of what we do, our inquiries tend to increase, whether that's the unrest in Hong Kong or elections in the US. So people are now starting to look at alternative residence as a means to hedge their sovereign risk and have a bit of a plan B. So I would say that would be the second most important trigger driving demand for these programs. And finally, a lot of countries across emerging and developing markets in Asia, their passports can be quite restrictive from a travel point of view. So we have families and entrepreneurs who are looking for that mobility, because particularly in times like these, mobility has become the ultimate alternative asset. So I would say these are the three key triggers which is prompting families to look out for investment migration opportunities.
So which investment migration programs have been particularly popular amongst high net worth families in Asia?
Particularly countries, jurisdictions which do not permit dual citizenship, for example, India, we've seen a lot more interest around residence by investment programs. So places like Greece and Portugal have been really sought after. For example, in Greece, you could buy a piece of real estate for 250,000 euros. At the same time, in Portugal, you can invest 280,000 euros, and you can also get a residency along with it. So now families are thinking, should I be buying my second home in the jurisdiction I reside in, or the city-state that I reside in, whether that's Jakarta, Manila, or should I be looking at Europe and at the same time possibly also get a Schengen residency along with it? And this thought process has been really pivotal, driving interest around the Golden Visa program in Greece and Portugal. The second most important program for us this year has been the Australia Global Talent Independent Visa. So this program caters to high caliber tech entrepreneurs who want to make Australia their home and who can contribute to the tech and innovation ecosystem there. So this program, we've seen a lot of interest, particularly from entrepreneurs based in places like Hyderabad, Bangalore, and India, who've had a few exits, and now they're looking at how they could go global and possibly set up their businesses in a place like Australia. So that would be the second most sought after program that we've seen, particularly in Asia. Finally, again, places like Malta, they've been really sought after for families who are looking at a European citizenship. So Malta, again, very transparent banking and legal infrastructure. It's fully functioning member of the European Union. If you get a Maltese citizenship, you get complete settlement freedom across the EU. So we've had an Indian family, they were living in UAE. They eventually acquired a Maltese citizenship. Now, one of their child is staying in Sweden and pursuing his university education for free, and the other one is an engineer in Berlin. So all of these things have happened because now they have an EU citizenship. Again, Montenegro as a program has also become quite interesting. As you know, Montenegro is first in line to be European Union, exceptionally habitable jurisdiction, and families are starting to embrace the Montenegro Citizenship by Investment program in Asia significantly. So I would say these are the top 5 programs where we see a lot of interest from Asian high net worth families.
So Nirbhay, has Asia lagged behind other regions when it comes to accepting the concept of dual citizenship?
Thank you, Michael, for the question. You're spot on. Historically, Asia has been quite resolute around not permitting dual citizenship. But recently, we're seeing a couple of countries who are becoming receptive to the idea of same. For example, Philippines changed its law recently recognizing dual citizenship. Similarly, we see in Pakistan is adding more countries to the list of countries where it permits dual citizenship. South Korea, in special circumstances, allows you to retain South Korean citizenship. But at the same time, places like India, China, Japan, they've been really stern around not permitting dual citizenship. But if these countries were to allow dual citizenship, I believe the demand for CBI industry will become significantly higher. For the time being, there have been no announcements on this front, but hopefully in the future, we see a day where these countries are embracing the concept of dual citizenship.